Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB and welcome back to another Shadowhunter review reaction, and tonight we are going to be covering episode 314, A Kiss from a Rose. So hey, welcome back everyone. I actually look normal today, so my eye's gotten better since my last review, and because of that I'm filming this on schedule. Hopefully this will be up by Tuesday, which is tomorrow, and you guys will get this video a lot sooner than last week. But let's go ahead and delve right into this episode. So first we start with Jonathan, who is back. He took a tiny break from last episode, but he's back now, and what we think is Clary somehow coming back to Jonathan, because at first I'm like, okay, either this is a dream or this is like a flash forward in the episode, and then the rest of the episode was going to be like flashback or like leading up to what led to this situation. But both theories are wrong, because what it ends up being is a Seely glamored as Clary in some sort of weird way to satisfy Jonathan, and the fact that the real Clary's not there, so we decide to have a Seely do it. Again, another check mark on the list of things that Jonathan does that just makes me like slightly cringe. It just, ugh. And we also find out that Jonathan is in New York. He is in Brooklyn. I believe he's in Brooklyn. He's in New York. He is in New York City, which means he's very, very close to Clary and Jace and everyone else, and this can cause a lot of problems, and we'll see the hint of those problems later in the episode. So I have a clip of Jordan and Maia, who are still locked up in the Jade Wolf after the big vampire werewolf massacre that happened there. Jordan has been stabbed, and he is fighting for his life while Maia is trying to find a way to escape. So let us go ahead, put on our headphones, and let's watch the clip. Those vampires really dinged up that door.
Damn it, they must have barricaded us inside.
Where's your phone?
No service.
Of course.
Where's Simon? He's gonna worry if he doesn't hear from you.
Yeah, about that, Jordan?
I don't think so. We broke up.
You could see like, he's trying to like not show his worry.
Someone will come for us eventually.
Who? My whole pack was just slaughtered. Luke stepped down, and the Jade Wolf is freaking closed on Mondays. Hello? Is anyone out there? Hello?
I'm sorry. I don't want to be that person that laughs at certain dialogue in an episode, but I can't help but laugh at that. And the thing is, okay, if you were in Maia's position, you would say something like that, and it would be serious, because it's true, and the fact that it is closed on Mondays means that no one is going to be coming to get them right away. But I can't help but laugh at that. It seems like such like a, I don't know, it's like one of those lines where, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like one of those lines that you just laugh at, because it's like the last thing you would say in that line of sentences. You would rather be like, I honestly would probably reverse it. I'd be like, you know, the Jade Wolf is closed on Mondays, Luke isn't here because he left the pack, and my entire, you know, pack just got slaughtered. I would go reversal on that, because I just feel like ending it on that one line is just kind of a little weird and cringy, but from an audience perspective. If I were in Maia's position, that wouldn't be a cringy thing, but I don't know. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about. But so the extension of that scene goes as Maia is kind of on the verge of having a panic attack, but thanks to Jordan, he helps her calm down and breathe and try to get her focused on what they need to do, because they both need to get out of there, because Jordan is bleeding from a stab wound to his gut. So they need to like calm down and think this through so they can find a way to get out. Then we move on to the morning after with Clace. Obviously Clary is still shaken over the message that was left on her arm, which said, "I miss you." Still a very cringy moment. I don't like to think about it. But we had a really sweet little moment between Jace and Clary, and I have to say, I love lovey-dovey Jace. Like, we don't see that. He's very, like, cocky, and he's very, like, tough persona, doesn't like to show his softer side a lot of the time. But I like that they had this little moment, and they've had a couple in this episode, but the first one was with them in bed together, and him calling her the most beautiful woman in the bed with him. And when she kind of combats that with, oh, you've probably said this to other girls, and he's like, actually, no, I haven't. And that was so sweet. It's kind of out of character for Jace, but I like it. I like that it's out of character because it's a different side that he doesn't show that often. And it's nice to see that he cares enough about somebody on that level that he could talk about this openly and not really feel like ashamed or feel awkward or anything like that. It's coming from the heart, and it was just really sweet. I love. And now the thing is, Clace isn't, obviously I'm a huge Malik fan, and I love Sizzy as well. So Clace doesn't always get my full attention just because they're not at the top of my ship list, if you know what I mean. But I've been liking them a lot more. Like, slowly but surely, I have been getting more on their side. I think because what they're both going through at the time is so dynamic and so intense, it makes me appreciate their moments together because there's a lot more behind it, if that makes any sense. We move on to Izzy talking to Alec about how she feels like the Shadowhunter that was killed in last episode, that he may hold some more secrets. So she decides that she wants to perform an autopsy to see if there's something inside of his body, because he did say, besides saying heavenly fire in Latin, he also said inside. And Izzy took that as there's maybe something planted in his body that could give them some clues as to what's going on with heavenly fire. And she asked for that. She does get it, although Alec is a little hesitant because I think he wants to try to have this be a little on the down low, a little discreet, so it doesn't draw attention, which is smart, but knowing Izzy, she's very determined to get this figured out. And I don't blame her, because this is a big, almost conspiracy, I would feel like, in the Shadowhunter world. So kudos to Izzy on trying to get this problem and this mystery solved. Now we move on to the storyline that had my heart breaking and also made me have a new hate character. Last episode, it was Heidi. In this episode, it was good old Lorenzo Ray. And I have a clip of Magnus and Lorenzo, so let's go ahead and watch that. Oh, stop it, you show off.
Is that you, Bane? I didn't see you all the way down. So sorry to hear about your embarrassing situation. I hear you're magic challenged.
I hear you've forbidden every warlock in the city from helping me.
I have. And now you've come.
You didn't give him any choice.
So what? You want me to grovel?
That would be a start, especially after assaulting me.
God, you're so vindictive.
That was inexcusable.
I did plan on punishing you for that, but it appears the fates have beaten me to the punch.
So, how can I be of help? Oh, come on, Lorenzo. You know why I came here.
Yes, I do, but I want to hear you say it. And it couldn't hurt to use the word please.
Again, vindictive. Magnus.
Please, Lorenzo.
I feel so bad for Magnus.
Will you help me get my magic back?
God, that just... Ugh. I've always hated Lorenzo. I have not met one fan of the show or seen anything on the show that says anything good about Lorenzo. Everyone and their mother hates Lorenzo Ray. I credit Javier, who's the actor who plays him. He does a fantastic job of creating such a diabolically, evilly manipulative, vindictive son of a bitch. But anyway, I'll have more reasons to yell at Lorenzo later. Let's move on. And Lorenzo ends up giving Magnus what he calls a dose of high warlock magic. It basically does this thing where he's got his hand up here and just shoots Magnus with just a bunch of magic. And straight into his head, which I find a little worrisome. But he does end up getting his power back, although the one good thing about Lorenzo is that he did warn Magnus, and I think warn us as well, that this kind of magic this kind of transfer of magic has side effects. But obviously Magnus doesn't even think about that. He wants his magic back so badly, and with a quick change of clothes, Magnus is back to his old self, but Lorenzo also asks for a price, and we will get to that later. So the final clip I'm going to be reacting to is the clip of Clary and Jace on their date, and it's at an ice rink. So let's go ahead and play that.
There you go. I'm doing great.
Oh, yeah?
I couldn't stay on my feet till at least my third try.
Well, that makes me feel kind of better.
I was 6 years old at the time, but still.
You're making fun of me.
I'm just saying you are actually ahead of the curve.
I was born ahead of the curve.
There's cocky little Jace.
I know this is your thing, so.
Well, please, by all means, don't hold back.
I wonder if that was actually Dom who did that, or if that was a stunt guy.
You want me to kiss it and make it better?
You know, yeah, I think that'd be nice.
Aww. Aww, that's really sweet. That was really cute. I liked that moment a lot. Again, kind of like, maybe you could say this is like borderline with what the training scene kind of was for Malik, in that it's just this really cute, funny little moment that just shows these two characters are really in love and love spending time together. So I would feel like this is, I mean, for me, obviously, the Malik training scene is like in a league of its own, but to compare ship scenes together, I feel like this would kind of be the closest to that. I was just really, really sweet and very charming, very loving, so I really like that scene a lot. And just their banter back and forth is really, really adorable. But sadly, we have a character that ruins the mood, aka Jonathan, because Jonathan ends up finding them and knocks Jace out and glamours himself to look like Jace, and then takes Clary out of the ice rink into another part of New York. But before we get to that, we are back in the Jade Wolf, and we find out that Jordan was actually stabbed with a silver blade. And obviously for werewolves, silver is like kryptonite, and he can actually die from this. So now Maia had another little moment where she was about to panic, but she calmed down thanks to Jordan, and now they've really got to like focus on what they need to do, or at least she needs to help him be comfortable enough and to stem that bleeding a little bit so that he doesn't die, because there is a good chance he could die if they don't get help right away. And there's actually one of my favorite quotes from this episode was actually Maia, who's like, now's not the time to be a gentleman, just take the freaking jacket. Because she ends up taking off her jacket and putting it over Jordan because he's obviously got some chills because of his injury. And I thought that was just really funny, and I think most of us who see scenes like that where like someone gives their jacket to somebody and they say, oh no, I'm okay. That's like a line that we all want to say, like be like, just take the jacket, be courteous and just take the damn jacket. So I thought that was a really cute little line. And they also have a little bonding moment and share memories, happy memories, and we kind of learn, which I figured we would all kind of implied, that Jordan actually is still in love with Maia, and I actually think that Maia still has some deep feelings for Jordan as well. I mean, they're obviously going to have a deep bond since Jordan was the one that turned Maia into a werewolf, but they had some conflict. But I feel like now it may lead to something. I don't know if we're going to have another ship on our hands, but I feel like they are a couple that are meant to be together, and it was kind of nice, although it was a little sad because of where Jordan was at. I felt like it was nice for them to have this little moment, for them to kind of touch on those memories that made them so happy with each other. Now we move on to Alec and Underhill, who's finally back from earlier season 3 with a new haircut, and they're currently trying to do research on the Morningstar Sword when, lo and behold, Magnus steps in with his newfound magic, and obviously Alec is very taken aback because he hasn't seen Magnus with his magic in quite some time, which I think is like, what, maybe like a week, less than a week in this show's timeline. And obviously he's very taken aback, and he confronts Magnus about this, and he kind of is dodging the question a little bit. He does admit that he's got his magic back from Lorenzo, and that his only excuse at the time is that, you know, Lorenzo is the High Warlock of Brooklyn, so he obviously has to help Magnus if he's been asked in need and if he pays up. But he keeps dodging the question while Alec is still really confused and suspicious about what's going on. But they do find some information on the Morningstar sword, and they end up going to Belgium. And I have to say this, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this tiny little detail. The portal that Magnus made, it looked very, very weak. Like, if you looked at the outside of the portal, it looked very wobbly. It didn't look secure. It also didn't look tall enough, because usually, like, the portals are, like, almost perfect circles or perfect, like, oval shape. This was just kind of like a glob of magic, if that makes any sense. And that was my first indication. I mean, already, it's from Lorenzo, so we know that there's, and he's already mentioned side effects. This was my first hint that something was very, very wrong. Obviously, this magic is nowhere near as powerful as what Magnus's actual magic was. And just seeing that portal, it made me really, really nervous. But again, Magnus being himself, he tries to hide any of those fears or any of the hesitation, and just, you know, says, you know, it feels great to be back, which is the scene we saw in the trailer, so now we know where that comes from, and they both leave to go to Belgium. We had this little moment between Clary and Jace, aka Jonathan, and where Clary basically tells Jace, Jonathan, I don't know how to go through that, but anyway, tells him about the I miss you that was written on her arm, and I think she can see in his eyes and in his way of speaking that there's something wrong. There's obviously, he's saying things that Jace probably wouldn't say, and I think she, in that moment, like, toward the end of that scene, she knows that there's something off. She doesn't know it yet, but I think in that scene, you can see it in her eyes that she's giving, like, a, you know, something's off look in her eyes. She's playing it off very well, but she does know that something's wrong. And then we have a quick little scene between Simon and Luke, who just got off the phone with one of the Praetors, and this is the first sign where Luke and Simon realize that Jordan is in danger, but also that Maia could also possibly be in danger because no one's seen her either. But the problem is that Luke, he's still under police watch because of the whole Ollie incident, what happened with her, and because of that, he can't really go anywhere without being, you know, surveillanced or surveyed all the time. So Simon ends up trying to help, and how he does this is that he ends up like turning it's a piece of the car where, like, the gas comes out of. Someone let me know what that is. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. Or the car exhaust? I don't know if that's correct. But if that is it, then that's what he bends to stop the car from starting. And one of my other favorite lines from the episode was when Luke asks, like, oh, how did you know how to do that? And Simon's like, I've seen a lot of movies. And being a film geek, being the one that I am, I can't help but relate to that so much. So, another checkup on Jordan and Maia. Jordan is getting weaker and weaker, and honestly, I was freaking out because I actually did think he was going to die because he was going in and out of speaking. He kept, like, drooping his eyes, you know, like, trying to keep them open, and Maia's trying to shake him a little bit and be like, hey, hold on, let's not talk about these bad things, let's talk about these good memories and keep you going. And you can see it in her you could hear it in her voice and see it in her face a little bit, that she's really trying to hold on for Jordan's sake, but he is getting very, very weak. So if they do not get help right away, he's probably going to die in the Jade Wolf. So now we move back to Clary and Jonathan Jace, and they are outside, and he gives her a rose, and out of just nowhere, and another check on the list of creepy things that Jonathan has done, he kisses Clary on the lips. I don't know what has warped his mind in this way where he thinks that that is okay. He literally wants to sleep with his own sister. I mean, we've already dealt with incest once in this show, and that was back in season 1. Now we're dealing with it again, and I'm not okay with it. It's just, whew. Because this is creepy on a whole nother level. Whereas the I miss you thing in the arm, that was creepy. This is Jonathan disguised as Jace, trying to pass off as if they're a couple, and goes in for a kiss out of nowhere, and you can obviously tell that Clary is like, whoa, that is not a normal Jace kiss, something's very off. So what she ends up doing is taking the rose, which has some thorns on it, and she like tacks her thumb on one of the thorns, and she looks and she sees that who she thinks is Jace is shaking the hand off and like sucking the blood off of his thumb. That is a dead ringer right there to Clary that this is Jonathan. And she ends up calling Izzy, who's working on the autopsy currently, and asks if she can go find the real Jace and then try to track her down once she takes off her anti-tracking rune. So now we've got a mission to find Clary and Jonathan and take Jonathan in and give him over to the Clave. Now back to Malik, who are currently in Belgium, and they are looking for the deceased person who last had the Morningstar sword, who was a mundane who had this weird obsession with swords and was buried with it. And they open the coffin up and they find a sword, and with some effort, because apparently this dude had like a death grip, a literal death grip, they get it out. But they find out, Magnus is the one who sees that this is not the real Morningstar sword, that the holder for it was authentic, but the sword itself, that the one in the coffin, was a fake. Now they read the Latin inscription on the blade, and it turns out that what the Morningstar sword can do is that it can open up demons and bring them into the real world. So basically kind of what Sebastian had done in season 2 when he opened that one portal from Edom to let all the Shax demons out, or whatever demons they were called. It's like that, except you can open it up with the sword. And if Jonathan gets his hands on this, that means big, big trouble. He basically wants to raise hell, and that is not a good thing. So Izzy finds Jace back at the ice rink where he's been bound to gag. I have to say, Jonathan did not do a very good job of hiding Jace. Like, you would think that he would, like, shove him in a locker or hide him in a place where he couldn't be found, because he was knocked out cold. So you could easily hide him somewhere, and it would be a lot more difficult for them to find him. But no, he just kind of left him there, hog-tied, basically, and now they go looking for Clary and Jonathan. And then back to Magnus and Alec. They have come back to Magnus' apartment, and out of nowhere, Magnus just starts packing a bunch of stuff, and the first thing I think of is, oh, maybe he can, like, brew a potion, or he can, like, do some more research and gather up his stuff and take it to the Institute for them to go over. But Alec finds this bizarre and mentions that, but then we find out that he's actually packing his stuff because he can't come back to the apartment, because Lorenzo's price ends up being Magnus's apartment. And another reason I hate Lorenzo so much, another check for him in this episode. And what was so heartbreaking to me was this whole scene with Magnus basically explaining that, you know, this apartment, although he's had it for a very long time, and he himself said he's had many happy memories in that apartment, that he would all but willingly give up his apartment again and again because having his magic makes him feel complete, it makes him feel alive. And the one that just, oh god, it just broke my heart when he said that, you know, without my magic I feel like a stranger. Because this is how he's felt from the whole time that he hasn't had his magic. He's felt like this. He never probably showed it all that often, with only a couple of glimpses from what we've seen, but it's been very hard on him. And in this moment, this little, like, almost a soliloquy, basically just saying, like, this whole time he has felt so empty and lost and just not himself because he hasn't had his magic. And that makes him feel like he matters. And of course, Alec is like, well, obviously you matter. And then Magnus is like, I know, I understand that, but I can't feel it without my magic. I can't understand that I do matter without it. And it just broke my heart so much, because it's just literally all of his emotions in this span of like a week or however long it's been, just crammed into a short little paragraph of dialogue. And the best line that he did say was to Alec, and he's like, I have you and I have my magic. Truly, that's enough. And oh my god, it was so sweet. Oh my god. The dialogue they say to each other, especially in these last few episodes, it's just been breaking my heart, mending it together, breaking it again, mending it, just a constant cycle. It just, again, it broke my heart to see Magnus feeling this way. But he does have Alec with him, and he does have his magic. But as we're kind of slowly learning, there could be some problems with this new magic because it's been forced and it's not his actual magic. There could be some complications. Back to the Jade Wolf. We finally have Simon and Luke discover the massacre, and obviously they're both shocked, but Luke in particular is feeling like, oh my god, this is what's happened since I've left. You know, I think he's felt a lot of sadness, obviously, and then guilt because he left and he hasn't been paying attention to what's been going on, even though he's not technically a part of it anymore, or he left it. So he's going through a lot, and thanks to Simon's ultra hearing, he can finally hear Maia crying in the back, and he's able to unbarricade the door and get them out and get them to safety. Now, problem with that is that the cops have caught up with them, and now they're stuck with a bunch of dead bodies everywhere, because obviously there's no real sign that these are werewolves. They look like humans, and the vampires aren't there because once they die, they like evaporate into dust. So there's just a bunch of bodies everywhere, and Luke knows that this is going to be a big problem. So he ends up telling Simon and Maia to take Jordan someplace safe to get him healed, but he's going to stay behind and get this figured out. What he means by that basically is that I'm going to stay, I'm going to be the fall guy, I'm going to take the blame for this, I'm going to be arrested, but at least you all will be safe. And literally, I wanted to be like, really, cops, now you decide to bust in and look into this? It's just like the worst timing ever. And sadly, Luke does end up getting arrested, and how that's going to transpire, we're going to have to wait and see till next week on that. But I've been feeling a lot of things for Luke. He's been going through a lot. And definitely being arrested does not help him very much. Now we have Clary and Jonathan Jace, and Clary's kind of stalling to slow them down so that Izzy and Jace can now catch up with them, and they do, and obviously Jonathan finally takes down the Glamour. But what's weird is that the minute that Clary has Jonathan pinned to the ground, this is her opportunity to detain him, make it so he can't escape, and that he could be sent to the Clave and sent to the Institute to get something done to him. But all of a sudden, everything just slows down. Everything slows down. Clary and Jonathan are looking at each other, and Clary just can't seem to do anything. And I don't know if this was on him, or if this is like something kind of festering in Clary a little bit, but it becomes the thing where he ends up running away, and Clary's just left with what happened. Like, I don't know why I let, you know, my half demon brother just take off. So I don't know what that whole thing is. I don't know. I feel like it's something very deep-seated, and we're gonna start discovering what that means later, but this is the start, and I'm a little worried about what's gonna happen with Clary now. And one of my favorite scenes of this episode was the little conflict battle between Lorenzo and Alec, because Lorenzo goes to check out Magnus's apartment now that it belongs to him, and Alec is there, and basically confronts Lorenzo, saying, all of this, these little games you've been playing, you think it's helping him, but you just want to humiliate Magnus after what he did to you. And basically Lorenzo's like, yeah, I want to humiliate him, and the fact that you, his little boyfriend, decided to confront me is all the proof I needed to know that I did humiliate him. And I just... Third check mark on the list of things that made me angry about Lorenzo this episode. I hate Lorenzo. I wanted to kill him. He is... like, okay, last episode, I hated Heidi. This episode right here, I hate Lorenzo. He is like I've mentioned before, a very vindictive, arrogant son of a bitch who only cares about himself and not about his job. He just wants it for the title. But what I loved is that Alex stood his ground. He tried to make a deal, but when Lorenzo refused, Alec is basically like, you know what, you're not gonna have that title for much longer. The minute you slip is the moment I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna take you down. And I was literally just like, I loved Alex so much for what he said to Lorenzo, because it was 100% deserved for him to say that to him. And I just love protective Alec. Alec is just, he's like, his heart is so big, And he just loves certain people so much. Because we saw that a bit last episode with him and Izzy, but now we see it with Magnus, and oh man, I just loved Alec so much in that scene. And although I hated Lorenzo, I loved Alec enough, and that's why I loved that scene so much. And then we see Magnus, who is at the Hunter's Moon getting a drink and kind of living his life back to normal now that he has his magic. And he steps out, he makes a portal, and he is going to be living at the Institute now since he can't stay at his apartment. But before he steps into the portal, his nose starts to bleed. And literally, I was gonna throw something at my TV. I wanted to just grab the nearest surf blade I could find and just stab Lorenzo in the chest and in the face, because I know he warned about the side effects, so you can't say he wasn't forewarned about this, but the fact that you hurt our Bane, the real High Warlock of Brooklyn, I was just so mad. And I'm so scared now. I'm scared about what's going to happen to Magnus. I mean, we had that clip from the trailer where you see Magnus, like, with blood coming out of his nose and mouth, convulsing on the floor. So we know that something bad is going to happen fairly soon. But this is the beginning of it, and I am scared to death about what's going to happen. And you know Magnus. He's going to hide this. He's going to hide it from everyone, including Alec. So unless they notice, it could just lead to bad things, and I don't want bad things to happen to Magnus. He's been through enough. Just some of these characters, they need to, like, take a break. Every character has been through a lot. We need to calm down. Another quick clip back to Izzy. She does end up finding a tiny little silver thing that has the angelic rune on it inside of the corpse. So there was something inside of his body. Thing is, what is this little silver thing? What does it mean for Heavenly Fire? And what answers will this lead to? But we now have proof that there is something going on. And then finally, to end the episode, we have Clary and Jace, who are kind of reflecting on what happened. Clary saying she felt so violated because of what Jonathan did to her. And probably the best line from this episode was Jace saying, "I swear on us." And then Clary's like, "What do you mean by that?" And he's like, "Because there isn't anything I believe in more." And I feel like this is the moment now where Clace is, like, truly united, and they are in this together, and they will fight to the bitter end to make sure that they are together, because their love is so strong and so powerful between the two of them that they're willing to go through so much to protect that. And that was very, very sweet. So this was a very Clace-centered episode, which is what a lot of people have been wanting, and I'm happy that they got these scenes in, and I like that it was in different directions. Like, we had the funny, cute moments, we had the very lovey-dovey moments, and then we had the really intense, like, bonding moments between the two of them. And I like all those dynamics, so I'm very glad we've gotten to see that. And we basically have Jonathan saying that Clary will be joining him very, very soon. That there's been something set in place, and that this will bring Clary back to him. What that means, again, we'll have to wait and see. But again, with the whole Magnus and the nosebleed thing, this is just a foreshadow of what is going to happen, and it's probably not going to be good. Alright guys, that is everything from the episode. A lot of stuff. Newfound hatred for a certain character. We're going to be seeing more from him, and also Heidi will be back next episode, so two of my least favorite characters as far as, like, hatred is concerned, they're going to be back soon. A lot of foreshadowing for bad things to come, and oh boy, I mean, we're already at the halfway point for this season, so I'm really wondering what's going to happen, how it's going to get all amped up from there. But we'll have to wait and see. So until then, I'm going to end this video right here. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me comments down below. What did you think of this week's episode? Any theories or predictions for the future episodes, let me know, because I love to read those comments. And if you want to see my future videos or videos I've already done, go ahead, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you guys today, and until the next video, bye! Mwah.